here lately. Next, board members, if I bring your attention to the general consent calendar. At this time is a time where board members can pull items off the general consent. Board Member Lear.
I had two items that I wanted to pull off, and these were items I discussed with Scott Hansen, so I can't claim or receive blame for some blame, because I looked at them and second his concerns. Item 4.5 and 4.6.
Okay. 4.5 is...
R277-600.
Yes, 600, and we will pull that and move it over to finance, and when finance committee is reporting, that will come back.
And I had a different motion in mind with, and I don't know if you want it now or.
No, we'll bring it back during the finance. So
okay,
keep
during the
track of
finance
that.
discussion. Okay.
And 4.6 is the state turnaround piece.
Right.
And we will not put that in the committee. We'll deal with that after the consent calendar is addressed. Any other items, board members? Okay. Vice Chair Brittany Cummins.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
We have a motion before the board to approve the consent calendar. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Board Member Lear, any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, voting was unanimous.
Aye.
I was just going to call board. Laura, that was you?
Sorry.
Okay, Laura said aye. I was going to call you out on it, so you don't have to be sorry. Okay, that was an aye. So the voting was unanimous. Okay, next, Board Member Lear, did you want to speak to 4.6, which is an actionable?
Yes, and I don't have I don't know if it's a rule, or I don't think it's a rule. I have just the brief note. There was a question about monitoring that would come about, and so when would that happen, and who would do that? Who would be responsible for monitoring on that program?
Okay, Superintendent Dixon, will you answer that question?
Yes. So the monitoring would occur in the fall, and just a quick backstory, instead of how it read prior, that we would start over, excuse me, with a new root cause analysis. You will recall that both of the schools that came before you, Entheos and Midvale, talked about how they already had a plan in place, or they had started on a new plan. So the panel thought that it made no sense to come in and start over with a root cause analysis and perhaps disrupting their planning process. So our staff has already engaged in a great monitoring process where they go in and give very specific feedback to the school, and we have had nothing but positive response to these monitoring reviews. And I think that we brought this before you, and it's looking at the federal program reviews, so going in and looking at English language services and other title programs, and then providing this comprehensive piece of feedback. So based on the positive feedback we're getting from the schools where that occurs, it would be that same team or a similar team using that type of a protocol, if not the same protocol. So rather than inventing something new, we would go in the fall, once they've got school started and their new plan engaged, and provide feedback to them about that.
Did that answer your question, Board Member Lear?
And ongoing the fall, meaning
So this next fall would be
2019.
that would be the first visit, and then likely a follow-up mid-year.
Okay, follow up in 2020 then. Okay, yes, it does, and I'll pass that on to Board Member Hansen, and he can follow up with you, or he can ask more questions in the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Board Member Jenny Earl. Oh, there you go.
So my question just is, we have a group from the State Office of Education that's, okay, that's what I was just trying to understand to make sure that that's who is doing it, or was it an outside entity, but it's a group from here? And does that incorporate who?
Superintendent?
So that's members of our turnaround staff and those responsible for funds that are being utilized, like Title III funds and Title IV and other areas of funds that they would have to monitor anyway. So it's the protocol that they're using to give feedback.
Okay.
They would use that same protocol that they've been trained on.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Cindy Davis?
Oh, just a quick question. Was that $50,000 that was allocated for those new needs assessments, is that used to help compensate for what's this program will be?
Yeah, so Patty, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but we set that money aside, but with this way of being or this new procedure, then we would likely not need to use it for our monitoring visit. But I think they could use it then to contract with people the schools could use it to contract with other people to help them. But Leah, Voorhees, Tiffany, somebody's going to correct me, because this part I don't remember. I see some head shaking, Board Member Davis.
We have staff coming up. If
This is why
you
we
wanna
have staff.
Turn the mics on and introduce yourself to answer this question.
So what we've discussed is
And you
that.
are?
Oh, I'm Tiffany Stanley, Chief of
Thank
Staff. Sorry. So we've discussed that if the progress monitoring identifies a need that the school does not have the resources to address, that some of that cohort 1 turnaround funds could be allocated, but that would be a determination that would be made at that point.
By the monitoring team?
Any other questions from board members? This is an actionable item that we need to be moving on. Vice Chair Brittany Cummins?
I move that we approve State Turnaround Cohort 1 Review Panel Recommendations Amendments.
Wait, a second. Board Member Newell, did you want to speak to your motion? Okay, we have a motion before the table, on the table. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Laura, are you in? Those opposed?
On the phone, aye. Scott Hansen.
Okay, very good. Good to hear from you. Board Member Belknap. Okay, those opposed? Okay, voting is unanimous. Okay, thank you. So 4.5 will come back in finance. So somebody will have their phone not on mute, maybe. Okay.